What's up, everyone? Welcome to episode number 226 of the Fantasy Focus podcast, brought to you by the Original Hooters. Ryan Levy here with Derek Tate, Matt Bucks, and Sam Holt. How are you guys doing post NFL draft?
Winded, but good. There was a lot going on there. I had to wrap my brain around it. I had to watch a few rom-coms to get my brain away from football for a minute so that I could actually sit down with a list, get my rankings in front of me. And I don't even know if I'm okay now. So much happened. Bucks is shaking his head.
I mean, Jordan had his flu game. I had my tequila game, as did Sam on Thursday night. Had a blast, so thank you to all the viewers out there. That was a lot of fun, but now we have to reap what we've sown and review kind of everything as it stands after the dust has settled. New things happening in my world. I got this sweet gaming chair. So I'm like ultra comfortable right now and also able to snap necks in Mario Kart. So I've got that going, and cooking with Bucky is on delay because shipping issues with the USPS that I wish we could get sorted out here. I have a regional specific ingredient that you cannot find in stores here, and it is apparently lost in the ether. So until I get that one ingredient, cooking with Bucky will be on delay. I'm just happy to be here. Tate, your hair is still looking wonderful.
Well, thank you. I'm having to be creative with how to part it correctly. I don't think there's a correct answer right now. It's just way too long, way too shaggy. And like I mentioned before, I tried to trim up the hair growing over the ears. Now it looks like I have a bowl cut. So we all make mistakes. John Gruden definitely made some mistakes in this NFL draft. Ready to talk about it, baby. Let's go.
Can we just start, Tate? I want to throw you a curveball. I want to get your opinion on this before we talk about anything else. Who's going to have the better rookie season, Cam Akers or Edwards-Helaire?
Oh, Edwards-Helaire, to me.
Really?
Yeah. I feel very, very, very confident that Edwards-Helaire fits in like a glove with that Chiefs offense. We saw last year it was a running back by committee, and they were almost actively trying to give the job to somebody other than Damian Williams. Unfortunately, we didn't see anything from Thompson. We didn't see much of anything from Shady McCoy. You know, I just really, really, really think that Edwards-Helaire, who I thought was already the number 3 back in this draft class, just fits this offense perfectly. So
being so good with his hands, that's the key separator here, and his quickness on the edge. It's going to be one of those things where it's a match made in heaven. And I have him as him and Jonathan Taylor, for me, are the 2 running backs I look at with the highest upside right out of the gates, considering their offensive situations. But I will say that Cam Akers, for me, is a player that I'm excited to watch, but I think he actually grows into the offense more over time and not so much right out of the gates like I see Edwards-Helaire or Jonathan Taylor doing.
Guys, anybody else want to weigh in? Jump in, the water's warm.
I mean, I definitely feel like Helaire fits the offense the best. I think it's going to take a little bit more time for Akers. I agree on that. But I'm in the middle of a rookie draft right now, and I can tell you where they went in this draft.
Yeah, I am curious, actually, because we have ours starting tomorrow.
Yeah, so Jonathan Taylor went first in this rookie draft. Second was Edwards-Helaire, then Burrow, then Tua, then CeeDee Lamb, a whole bunch of other people, and I took a whole bunch of other people, and then I took Akers at the end of the first. So okay. I'm pretty happy with getting him where I did, but I do understand why he fell that far, and I think that's what the main drop off is with Helaire and Akers is the immediate usage versus we have to kind of wait and see how it goes for Akers.
See, with Akers, here's an important point: is that the Rams, I think, were the 3rd heaviest run team in the red zone last year. And that's even with Gurley nicked up, but it's why Gurley scores touchdowns. So that's one thing to keep in mind with Cam Akers is their offensive utilization is the running back in the red zone with the tight ends getting involved as well. So I think Cam Akers is actually a little bit higher upside in some senses than some of the other players that were on the board for you there. Obviously, Edwards-Helaire and Taylor being separated from that. I think it's a higher level. Tate, you agree?
Well, you go look at what Akers did at a bad Florida State team too, by the way. I mean, he really played on some piss poor teams. And I think if he was on a team that he probably expected when he went with Florida State in the first place, that he was going to be competing for a national championship, for a good majority of his time there in Tallahassee. Akers is a special talent at running back. He really is. And you remember when Todd Gurley was just dominating the fantasy landscape, it was because he was so heavily involved in the passing game with Sean McVay off of play actions. And then the screen game was such an integral part of what McVay and that Rams offense did so damn well. So they still have some issues along that offensive line. He still has to compete with the likes of Malcolm Brown and Darrell Henderson. But really, I think Akers is the most naturally, he's the best prospect of all three of those guys easily. So I think that eventually the cream rises to the top, and we'll see that Akers is going to be the feature back in this offense. That's what that's what my gut tells me.
For dynasty rookie drafts, I am going to take Clyde Edwards-Helaire ahead of Akers. But for a redraft start, just a plain old regular redraft PPR standard, whatever, I'm taking Akers this year over him.
Ooh, I still have Edwards-Helaire. I mean, that the Chiefs offense is going to finish top 3, and that's probably on the bottom end. They could easily finish number 1 in scoring offense in the National Football League.
Oh yeah.
And Edwards-Helaire,
now you have a multi-talented stud in that backfield.
Right. And he caught 55 passes last year with LSU. I mean,
mind you, everybody was catching balls at LSU last year.
I mean, he only threw 60 tutties, but
they were raining from the skies.
You get a Burrow ball, and you get a Burrow ball.
You get a Burrow ball.
I just don't understand how you guys are so high on Jonathan Taylor. I mean, with Marlon Mack there, are they just gonna shun him? He's out. He's gone.
He
Cut him.
Shunned.
Put him in the streets.
Put him in the streets.
I don't believe that.
Taylor is a much better player than Marlon Mack is. Tate, that's gonna hurt you, and I can see the look of consternation in your face right now. And
consternation.
Jonathan Taylor's a much better prospect. Marlon Mack has been good. Jonathan Taylor with this offensive line can be great. And
I think Mack has been great when things were, I mean, you saw when he's healthy. Now, granted, that's the big knock, is now you got a guy like Jonathan Taylor who's a workhorse, durable running back. You can't hurt the guy. He's a freaking monster. Mack gets dinged up. I think that now I don't see Matt completely disappearing, though, from this backfield equation. I still see him seeing at least 100 carries this upcoming season. He's going to eat. They're going to eat into each other, unfortunately. It knocks them both down a tick for me. It sucks because Taylor, if he had this backfield all to himself, which I do think eventually he will, which is why he's still a top 3 dynasty back, in my opinion. But for this upcoming season, it's going to be very tough to predict on a week-to-week basis who's going to get basically the lion's share of touches. Could they both be productive? Yes, but, they already have Nyheim Hines, who is a pass-catching specialist in that backfield, so it's not like there's a clearly defined role for any of them at the current moment.
But, Tate, it's like you've been in this relationship now with Marlon Mack for the better part of 2-3 years, and there's just some cracks in the lining, and you got at some point you got to call a spade and just realize that, the new neighbor that moved in, Jonathan Taylor, more attractive, always makes you laugh when you're out getting your mail. And all of a sudden, man, the relationship's over. And I think it's time for you to take a look in the mirror and start to address those cracks in you and Marlon Mack's relationship.
He already did. He dumped him on my doorstep in Dynasty.
Look at that face.
And Kerryon Johnson. I mean,
Tate still has love for Marlon Mack in his heart.
Oh my God, it's so good.
There is still love for him and Kerryon Johnson in my heart. I still believe that they're very talented players that, if given the right opportunity, they would crush. But the situation is what it is. I mean, we haven't even mentioned Deandre Swift, which my heart is absolutely broken for this young man, because Swift, to me, if he would have went to Kansas City, God almighty, I think that would have been the home run. But, Andy Reid knows what he's doing. I'm not going to go ahead and, question Andy Reid. But Swift going to Detroit, damn it. Like, Kerryon Johnson's value tanked. Now Deandre Swift, he's playing in a middle-of-the-road offense at best, with having to split touches with a very talented back and Kerryon Johnson as well. So shit when it comes to Deandre Swift. When I saw that pick, my heart sank.
Hate to see it. I mean, we've got a lot of headaches. Running back by committee is going to be interesting this year. It's an absolute
the most fire segment we have on Fantasy Focus.
I mean, I think it's going to be a regular segment week to week. Is the crowded backfield that is everywhere.
Even the Ravens and J.K. Dobbins and Mark Ingram.
Yeah,
the Packers.
Ingram's on his last legs though, so that's more of a train behind a really good pro vet in Mark Ingram. He's going to play, trust me. But that's a good fit in my opinion. I like the Dobbins.
What about the Bills? We didn't talk about the Bills or the Packers yet. I feel like we have a lot to dissect here, especially at the running back position.
Bills needed a backup running back, and honestly, I was confused by the pick just a little bit, but the more I think about it, the more it makes sense. Really, in the NFL, in this modern era, you need two backs that can do multiple things. Devin Singletary, I think, will get the lion's share, but there will be a role for Zach Moss, and I think the Bills just want talent on the offensive side. They've shored up the O-line, and now it's time to, who let the dogs out? Brandon Beane, Sean McDermott, they let the dogs out. So now it's time to bark. Arf. I like the Zach Moss pick. Tate, you were confounded by it a bit, though.
It's unfortunate because, again, I feel as if Devin Singletary showed me enough last year that if he was the feature guy, clearly the feature guy, then he would be a top 12 running back, regardless of fantasy format. Really, truly believe that. I thought he was that good on a per-touch basis. He had a little bit of a fumbling issue, which we do know, but Zach Moss, man. Zach Moss scares the living shit out of me for Devin Singletary. He does. He's a workhorse, man. He's a workhorse physical back in a team that wants to run the football. I mean,
but better than one workhorse back, two workhorse backs, Derek.
It just makes it very tough to invest high draft capital in these guys and feel confident about it.
Tate, when you order a pizza pie, do you ever just stop at one slice? You ever stop at one?
That's a rhetorical question.
Entire pizzas. You don't share pizzas.
Yeah, you go to Hooters, you order one wing, please, ma'am.
Like the a la carte? The a la carte.
I'm going to eat a stack of wings, and when they're all as delicious as Zach Moss, Devin Singletary, that backfield is starting to look rather formidable. And I honestly like it. I think it makes the Bills legit.
You like it as a Bills fan. You don't like it as a fantasy football player.
Yeah, but you can't separate the man from the boy here, okay? There's the boy Buck who's like, oh, go Bills, get real strong and everything like that. And man Buck's like, yeah, you need to do some analysis here. Okay, yeah, you got me, all right? I like it for the Bills, and I do think it knocks Singletary down quite a bit.
I mean, how are the attempts and the carries going to get split? How are the yards going to end up split at the end of the year?
35.
I mean, because I feel like at the beginning of the year, it's going to be, obviously Singletary is going to take the lead on all of it. And obviously this is, again, going to be a really weird year. And I'm going to keep saying it because these new players are going to be at a disadvantage with less time to learn the playbook and less time to practice with the team. So it's going to take a lot more of that. So you're not going to see the immediate, jump for him versus Singletary, but I think it's going to be a bit later in the season. And is this going to be something that's frustrating fantasy owners in championships when you've been relying on Singletary for so long and then all of a sudden, it swings the other way?
You mentioned rely, and I think that one thing that Moss is a reliable between the tackles workhorse back, and that's what scares me about Singletary. Not only did he have ball security issues in his rookie season,
got to secure those balls.
Yes, he does.
Yep.
We all do as men.
Yeah.
So anyway, point being,
he'd burned by now.
Whoopsie. Anyway, we're talking. So we saw last year though, McDermott really pull the reins back on how when it was even obvious to everybody watching a Buffalo Bills football game that Singletary was the better and more effective back than Frank Gore last season, he still stubbornly gave Frank Gore his weekly amount of touches. Now what are you going to do when he decides to do that with Zach Moss, who is a very good physical runner that can impose his will on opposing defenses? I just think that it's going to be a mess on a week-to-week basis. I still have Singletary a little higher, but it's just going to be hard to feel confident that he's going to have a breakout season when you do have a guy like Moss that they invested high draft capital in. That's all.
here's my problem as a fantasy owner. Frank Gore had, I believe, 160 carries last year, right? Those carries aren't all going to go to Singletary, obviously. Moss, in my opinion, is probably going to end up being the red zone back, the goal line back. And with Josh Allen still running the ball, he's still
throw
going
your neck out, Bucks, for shaking your head like that.
I know. When you speak with such clarity, it really just does make it seem.
We'll see, Bucks. You go ahead and take Singletary in the second round. I'll take him in the fourth and other.
How many times last year did McDermott still bring in Frank Gore on short yardage situations only to watch him get blown the hell up?
A million.
Exactly my point.
Now, Zach Moss is going to take those looks. I mean, if you weren't willing to give those looks to Singletary last year with Frank Gore, now you got the hammer that is Zach Moss.
The hammer.
The hammer. I didn't just give him a nickname, but he is a hammer.
Hammer.
I don't like the hammer. I'm going to work on it.
Hammer time.
Hammer time's too good to pass up. Come on.
I love Singletary.
You can't see these legs. You can't stop it.
We are in where
This touched my soul because I love Singletary. I was so high on Singletary.
Tate, can you do that move again?
Yeah, that was good, man.
that was really good.
I mean, you ever seen like the movie Hitch? Kevin James.
Yes.
You can't stop it. And then get out.
Oh,
never do it again.
All right. So I mean, we didn't talk about one running
pitch.
We didn't talk about one running back, though, that I want to talk about, and it's only fitting because your boy Bucky was actually the highest on this young man as we talked about our rookie running back rankings for dynasty purposes. Shaun Vaughan out of the University of Vanderbilt going to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And if we really had one team that you could say, damn, it would be great if running back X landed with the Bucs, that would be the guy that we'd like the most. And it's Keyshawn Vaughn. Bucky, you were high on him. Tell us why this is a home run of a pick.
Well, any back that the Buccaneers would have drafted in like a traditional sense of a 3-down back would have been a highlight for anybody. But Keyshawn Vaughn, for me, is one of the toughest players in the draft. He's mean. He's pissed off, and he wants the rock in his hands. He can make explosive plays. He might not be the most explosive player, but with that chip on his shoulder, I don't know, Tate, when I watch him, I feel like I'm watching just a battering ram of a man, and it's in everything he does. So you get that type of like competitive juices flowing along with Tom Brady and Gronk in the huddle, factor in Mike Evans, Chris Godwin. I think it's a perfect complement to the fact that this team is loaded with skill position players. Keyshawn Vaughn just being a battering ram there, that for me is perfect. Perfect. I can see Rojo getting more touches, but Rojo hasn't impressed, period. So I think it's time for Vaughn to just take his ball from Rojo and throw it over their mountains.
Them there?
Yeah, then their mountains, yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
I love the pick, too. I mean, he's an absolute bulldozer. I'm curious to see how it unfolds with Rojo in the mix. I think Rojo is definitely going to get carries, but I mean, I'm high on it. I probably would have rather seen them take Moss over Vaughn.
Me too.
Correct me if I'm wrong there. If he wasn't available.
Did you mean to rhyme? You just rhymed.
I did not. I mean, I was higher on Moss, but I mean, Vaughn was one of those guys I had on our sleeper episode, or I mentioned him as a sleeper, as a second or third round draft pick, whatever it was. So, yeah, I love the pick as a Bucs fan. I love all the picks as a Bucs fan.
So, I mean, I love that they got Tristan Wirfs. I mean, if you were drawing or at least analyzing the depth chart for how it's currently constructed, as far as the biggest holes on the roster on paper are at right tackle, are at safety, and at running back. And the Bucs spent their first 3 picks, all value picks, on those respective positions. So I thought it was – I hate saying this because I've been trashing Jason Light for years, but I thought it was a hell of a draft. I thought it was a great draft from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but without getting too centric on them and just talking about Keyshawn Vaughn. Look, Vaughn's nasty. Nasty little player, man. Plays with an edge. I just see a slightly more athletic version of Peyton Barber. I don't see a special talent. I don't, but we don't need him to necessarily be special. He is a grinder who plays with an edge, and you need some physicality coming out of the backfield because Rojo ain't going to give you that. Rojo's flashy. You need some tough. You need some grittiness coming out of the backfield. Vaughn has that in spades. It's just I think that Moss was the better prospect on my board, but Vaughn was right there behind Moss in my opinion. So I have him as my number 7 running back on my board. I had Akers right ahead of him, but it's a good pick. It's just I like Moss a little bit more, but I still think he's going to have a role. I still think Rojo's the more valuable fantasy back though heading into this year.
Like in PPR formats?
Yes, I do.
Yeah. So you see him taking up more of the passing game than you see Vaughn. You see Vaughn being like the hammer between the tackles, getting in for the 2-yard touchdown, that type of position.
I think that's going to be a hot hand backfield. I think it's going to be a hot hand backfield, like where, if Rojo's got the hot hand on a given game, he'll get his looks, he'll get his touches, and they'll just ride with him. Rojo, his biggest thing, though, is he just has mental lapses, whether it's in pass protection, which you better not have that with Tom Brady. That'll get you off the football field in a hurry. But Vaughn is nasty when it comes to pass protection, too, which that's the biggest thing with running backs, and that'll get you on the field with Tom Brady. And Rojo isn't that damn good to where if he's struggling in pass protection, you got Keyshawn Vaughn nipping at his heels. So
do you think it was Brady calling all the shots for the Bucs draft picks?
Somebody asked that. I don't think so, but
I kind of do. I think Brady was secretly scouting all these guys, and then the minute he signs, he just presents this massive binder, and it's just book of Brady and all these prospects.
Here's who we're getting.
That's all they do. They have the book and they rip the pages out when other teams draft them. They just go in order, and then boom, here we are.
Absolutely. Now you say the hot hand, and I feel like we've talked about the hot hand running back in a Tom Brady conversation before, because that was the deal with running backs when Brady had them in New England. Yep. So sorry, I've had a lot of coffee today, so I'm talking really fast. I'm forgetting my words. But I'm sweating. Like my palms are sweating. I've had too much coffee. Like it's bad. Okay, so
somebody turn the flamethrower off around here.
Seriously. Okay, but what I want to say is with that offense that Brady ran, obviously with Belichick, and you never knew who the running back was going to be each week. Are we going to now have that new struggle with these running backs in Tampa Bay? Did we just move location and have the same struggle at running back?
No, because Arians has always been a one-back man.
So if he's a one-back man, who's his guy? Is it Vaughn?
I think it's going to be Vaughn ultimately.
I like Vaughn.
Rojo's a flashier player, but I mean you hit the nail on the head, Tater. Vaughn is a much better blocker. So and the thing with Rojo is he can't catch for shit. Hopefully this offseason he bought himself a jugs machine and he's been in his backyard catching balls because he can't catch. So where does he fit in?
Needs to catch.
I don't know if
can't block.
I don't know if I would go as far as to say that Arians has always been a one-back running back type of coach. I mean, I remember in particular David Johnson, his rookie season, pairing up and was the more effective back, even though they kept giving touches to Chris Johnson. So, I mean, there's room for two backs to have a significant amount of work on a weekly basis. It's just, I think that Rojo, they're putting a little heat on him. They didn't draft him and say your ass is benched, but they lit a fire and said, look, this kid's going to be nipping at your heels. You better bring your A game. Otherwise, you will go to the bench.
Yeah, so instead of practicing catching with Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, he actually had training sessions with Patches O'Houlihan. Who was just throwing wrenches at him, and Rojo had to dodge it. So not really hand skills, more feet work with Patches, obviously. Yes. And that's been the focus in this offseason.
But if you could
Pecker slap those Globo Gym. Sorry. I forget the rest of the quote, but
Patches O'Houlihan.
Patches
O'Houlihan.
Hey, before we get into some of these questions in the comments here, can we briefly talk about the Packers backfield? Tater, I know you were very high on Aaron Jones.
How about the Packers in general? What the hell are they thinking? What a bunch of shitheads.
I just want to talk about it. Let it rip, Tate.
If I'm Aaron Rodgers, I give them the middle finger and say, put me on the trade block. You don't want to win with me, or you want to go ahead and draft my successor. Move up to draft my successor after I just took you to the NFC Championship game, and I haven't had a wide receiver 2 in years, and you haven't spent now you've selected, since I've been your quarterback. I'm Aaron Rodgers right now. You know,
Aaron.
Hold on. Let me speak. The floor is Aaron's. Anyway, Since 2005, when they drafted me to go ahead and replace Brett Favre, they've drafted more quarterbacks than running backs, wide receivers, and tight ends combined in the first round.
Ooh.
Wrap your mind around that. He has carried this franchise for over a decade, and you move up 4 spots in the first round when you're 1 game away from the Super Bowl to draft his replacement? What in the all hell?
Your replacement, Aaron.
Yes, my replacement. How dare you?
I mean, looking at their depth chart, and before this whole thing started, all of us were saying they're clearly the team that's going wide receiver in the first round, right? Clearly. And
without a doubt.
I understand the talent with Jordan Love. Fine. But to go through this draft without drafting a wide receiver, when you have the likes, this is what that cupboard looks like when you open it up. After Adams, you have the Fungus, Devin Funchess, Alan Lazard, Jake Kumrell, and the law firm Marquez Valdez-Scantling. What are they doing? There was so much talent at receiver, not only in the first round, the second and the third round as well. This whole thing makes no sense to go with the depth factor with Jordan Love and then to even go one up on that, drafting A.J. Dillon. There was so much receiver talent, and it's so clear. Tight end. They waited late for a tight end, too. It just, the whole thing doesn't make sense to me. I'd be furious if I were you, Mr. Aaron Rodgers.
So I got to tell you, like, it reminds me, this situation when it comes to Aaron Rodgers looking at his wide receiver room and his weapons on the outside, it reminds me of when I haven't gone shopping in a really long time and I keep going back to the fridge and opening it up and it's the same shit in there that I don't want to eat. It's like appalling. It's like it's been half the shit's expired in there. You know, like it's just you won't go shopping with new groceries. That's what the Green Bay Packers are refusing to do when it comes to Aaron Rodgers pass catching options. And AJ, by the way, didn't Aaron Jones score 20 touchdowns last year and have a breakout freaking season? Yeah, and you draft AJ Dillon in the second round?
Yeah.
Tate, you should really clean out your fridge more.
I know.
I mean, Aaron.
The Packers need to clean out their fridge.
Yeah, he's just out there throwing to the same old stack of ramen noodles that he's been throwing to for years.
But it's also like a random flavor that nobody likes. That's why that stays there. And you're like, someone's going to come by and eat the shrimp flavored ramen noodles. Like, no,
the prawn. It's prawn flavored.
It's the prawn. My apologies to the ramen fans.
Yes.
So what does this do to Aaron Jones's fantasy value for this upcoming season? I mean, I'm not saying that it's death to his fantasy value. I don't think it is. I was already expecting some touchdown regression. And now you have A.J. Dillon, who is a poor man's Derrick Henry as far as his skill set goes. I'm not saying that he is Derrick Henry. I'm just saying he is a large human being that moves really freaking well for a guy his size. And you got to imagine if they get inside the 5 and they just want to go with a heavy set, that they're going to give the man that is 250 freaking pounds at running back the football. I mean, I'm just saying the touchdown regression and the fact that Jamal Williams was even involved last year at some points in this Packers offense. It just makes me a little bit nervous and bullish that Aaron Jones isn't going to have a repeat season inside the top 5 at the running back spot.
Yeah, I mean, Jamal Williams last year was serviceable in PPR formats. He was a flex option towards the end of the year when he was healthy. I mean, I hate the move. Aaron Jones, not Aaron Rodgers. I was
both
very high on him.
Both Aarons are sad Aarons right now.
Yeah, I mean, I had Jones as like a top 6 or 7 back. I'll still take him maybe at the wraparound at the end of the first round, but I'm looking at those receivers instead of Jones now.
Yeah, it's tough. And I mean, I like that we're obviously talking about this now because I'm currently in the middle of a rookie draft and A.J. Dillon is still on the board. So I'd love to know, I mean, do you really think that he's going to eat into his value that much this year? Is he someone that going forward the next 2 years is someone that you want in dynasty formats?
Well, think about it. Like when it comes to running backs, they're very volatile from year to year as far as their dynasty fantasy value goes in particular. They're very tough to forecast. for this reason alone, because you just don't know when it comes to NFL changes and head coaching changes. New regimes want their guys in there, and they probably are looking forward to that. You don't want to have to pay Aaron Jones a market value contract, once his rookie deal expires. So they may be just playing for the future. They took a quarterback and a running back when those were their two most productive positions this entire year, on a year where they went to the NFC Championship game. I'm absolutely flabbergasted that they decided to go in this direction.
Can't wait to see Devin Funchess do his thing.
Oh yeah. All right, let me ask you guys this in general.
He's the milk carton that's been collecting fungus that I'm throwing out of my fridge.
Oh my god.
Fantasy redraft formats. Who would you rather take towards the end of the first round? Aaron Jones or Devontae Adams?
Adams.
Bucky,
you said Adams too?
Yeah, Adams, yeah.
Don't forget, man, Devontae Adams is great when he's healthy.
Oh, yeah. I know.
So, yeah.
He's going to get 1,000 targets this year.
Him easily for me.
I like that B throws this in the comments. Imagine Aaron Rodgers going to New England.
Oh.
That would be crazy. But I feel like
the same problems he has in Green Bay in terms of lack of receivers around him. So
that's true, but maybe he'd be going somewhere where they would actually make moves for him if they gave him the right deal.
Something tells me Aaron Rodgers and Bill Belichick don't get along.
Yeah.
They just
that's a hunch.
Eye to eye.
That's a hunch, and that's complete fabrication from Buck's brain.
Hot take.
But yeah.
Is there a quarterback that would get along with Bill Belichick?
Stidham.
Tua. Maybe Tua, because he doesn't say very much.
It's been Stidham all along.
Stidham.
Seriously, the Patriots didn't even draft a quarterback. I know we don't have to go down that road, but they didn't even address the position.
That's not surprising. I think they're going for Trevor Lawrence. I think it's going to be a bad year.
You think it's going to be a tank for Trevor?
Why wouldn't you have picked a quarterback here? At least Jake Fromm, not a great player. Buffalo Bill, so obviously looking at this through blue and red glasses, but I just feel like a guy like Jake Fromm, the Bills got him in the 5th round. Pats could have easily invested a 4th round pick, and at least just have something on the younger scale moving forward. They must believe in Stidham, and Belichick's got him under a spell or something, or vice versa. Does Stidham have Belichick under a spell? Is there magic going on?
I think there's magic going on, but there's always been something crazy going on with Belichick.
I don't think Belichick has a tank in him. He's just not a tanking type of coach, man. I just don't see that.
New era, new Bill.
Yeah, it's new Bill. Bill didn't even draft the team. His dog did. We all saw that, right?
That was awesome.
That was amazing.
And I love that he has this humble place. Mind you, it's probably like $3 million in Nantucket, but his humble Nantucket home that he was in, that was great. The dog, oh, Lord.
Doing all the things. So
that was solid. Before we move on from running back, guys, can we talk about Miami? We did kind of a sneaky move there during the draft. They trade for Matt Breida. So I know B is a Miami fan. So let's address Miami real quick. Tater, initial thoughts on Breida and Jordan Howard in Miami.
They both represent some upside later in drafts. That's really the best way to put it. Is they're both guys that I would like to be able to snag in like the 7th or 8th round, just off the top of my head. I haven't, done any mock drafts or anything like that. But yeah, they should complement each other well. Howard was pretty effective before he got hurt last season with the Philadelphia Eagles. Was even playing Miles Sanders off the football field. So yeah, they're both worth a stab in later in drafts. If you decide to go 0 running back, I think they're both guys that I would like to target.
I like that. If you're doing that kind of format or running that kind of strategy, I think that they're really great value later. But they're not super shiny that I'd want them any sooner. So would I be surprised if one of them ended up in the top 20 for running back at the end of this season? Probably not super surprised, but that just goes with what you're hoping for at value there with those later picks for them. I like the move. I agree. I think they complement each other well. It's not like they're going to be there. I feel like they serve different roles.
it's just with no sample size with either of them in Miami, it's very hard to like commit to one player saying this is the guy that you want to have out of that backfield. You don't really know. So it's probably another frickin' committee. It's just what it is it's a fairly priced committee. You're not having to invest like a high draft pick in someone, say, for example, like Devin Singletary.
Sure.
You still probably have to spend like a third or a fourth round pick on, even with them drafting Zach Moss. The Miami Dolphins backfield, no one really wants a big part of it. So you'll probably be able to get either of those guys at a fairer price.
Well, Jordan Howard's middle name is Committee.
Right. Story of his career, man.
Committee Howard.
His first 2 years were great.
I'm actually pretty high on Breda.
I love Breda. He's a good player.
I think that really helps Mostert, though.
Yes.
Yes, it does help
Mostert big time. And even Tevin Coleman, because now you have that third wheel that's completely eliminated.
Yeah.
I think that Mostert, though, now we got to talk about Mostert because they didn't draft a running back in this draft and they traded away Matt Breda. So clearly they feel comfortable moving forward with Mostert and Tevin Coleman.
Is Jared McKinnon still alive?
I was going to say
he's alive. I don't know where, but he's alive.
I hope the guy's alive.
Yeah.
He was a good player.
He was a good player.
Maybe he's getting healthy. I mean,
that would be a Shanahan thing to do.
Right.
Damn it. I forgot about him, but I still think it votes well for Mostert, who finished the year very, very hot.
And as someone that just picked up Mostert in a dynasty league, I'm very excited. So that means that the value that I got for him when I got him, I'm solid at that position. It's less of a committee there with him gone.
Yeah, Bucky gave you a hard time about that pick. I think you took him in like the 6th or 7th round, which I didn't think was terrible. And,
that's really good.
You got some flack for that.
It was the 4th round.
I'm gonna look.
Okay, it was also a really deep league. So
extremely deep league, sharks in the water. I get it.
Really deep league.
Sam, I'm a moody man. Okay, so I apologize for my previous actions.
I would never call you moody in my wildest dreams, Bucks.
Well, I was feeling some type of way during that podcast, and yes, maybe I roasted you a bit, but nobody here is invisible from a roast.
No, and that's why I like you guys, because I don't. Yeah. Got to keep it even playing field. So,
Stan, you have Breda and Mostert. Look at you. Just took a quick look at your roster there.
It was 4th round, right?
I can't figure out how to find the draft.
And she's got Rojo. She got Rojo super late. Everybody was
she's looking really good with her running back setup, guys.
Guys, you're feeling so good this morning.
All right, let's talk about QBs. Let's stay in Miami for a second here. Leonidas, what's up? Thanks for joining as always. Who has the bigger fantasy impact in 2020, Burrow or Tua?
I mean, we don't even know that Tua is going to play yet. He's going to be healthy enough to start the season. For this conversation, it's Burrow. And if we're gonna extend that question to Justin Herbert, then the answer is still Burrow, like undoubtedly. So,
what'd you guys think of the T. Higgins pickup there by Cincinnati as well?
I like that pickup for him though a lot. So I do think Tua is going to play this season because we saw a lot of tape of him working out ahead of the draft. We saw a lot of video of that. I've talked to a couple people that say they feel like he's very healthy. So I'm not worried about him not playing. I just like Burrow's weapons and immediate value there more. And we just talked about the running backs in Miami. They're just not as exciting to me, his weapons, as Burrow's right now. Just right out the gate. He's got weapons. He does. I'm not saying that he doesn't have anything. I'm just saying, I just like the speed that Burrow's working with.
And that's fair. I'm actually going to take this question and form a further question. Sup, fam? Who will have – bring it back. Sup, fam? Who will have the bigger fantasy impact next season, Burrow, Tua, or Leonidas's dog, who's just an absolute stud in that picture? What a gorgeous dog. I'm going for the Doberman on this one, guys.
Oh yeah, Doberman all day.
So real quick, let me add one more bit of context with the T. Higgins pick. I think that they're going to play hardball with AJ Green.
Yeah.
AJ Green wants a new contract. They franchise tagged him. It's no mystery that Green has wanted a contract extension. If you take basically the end of the first round, T. Higgins, guy that was like a borderline first round talent at wide receiver, I think that they're going to play hardball with your boy AJ Green. And now you still like that receiver room for Burrow, though, with John Ross, Tyler Boyd, and now T. Higgins.
And I even liked Auden Tate in the offseason and what he started doing towards the end of the last year. And I love his height, and I feel like he's a great red zone threat. So I feel like they have so many other weapons that Green is going to have to make a decision, and we actually might not see him in a Bengals uniform next year.
I mean, they're loaded.
Gene that Auden Tate got.
I blame Pat Tate. Gorilla Neanderthal Silverback. that side of that descendant of the Tate group did not get the height gene. Why do you think I try to spike the hair? I try to get above 6 foot.
There you go.
I kind of do like Auden Tate as well.
I think this is the end of AJ Green. I mean, maybe this year he plays, but I mean, the fact of the matter is he's missed 29 games in the last 4 seasons. That's a lot of games.
I mean, I'm not trying to throw stones at him, but I think he could have came back last year. It was a contract squabble, and he decided to go ahead and coast for the rest of the year and not risk it on a bad team.
Here's something we need to talk about. Not draft related, but the Saints picking up old Jameis New Eyes Winston.
Jameis New Eyes. Them new eyes.
New eyes tell real lies.
But then they also announced that Taysom Hill is going to be extended through 2021. So, like, is Jameis excited about this? It's just a 1-year deal. I mean, he's not the quarterback of the future, in my opinion, in New Orleans.
I think he is.
On a 1-year deal, how can you say he's the future? If you believe in the kid so much, give him a 3-year deal.
Yeah.
I think they need to see some things from him before, extending the olive branch to that.
They need to see him see things and connect things before.
Yes. Real eyes tell real eyes.
I mean, but will he even get the chance to start? I feel like Brees has been very consistent as far as not being super prone to injuries his entire season. Yes, he had a ding on his finger last year, but he did those finger exercises and he got back on the field. So I don't know that he had the jazz hands towards the end, so he was fine. So I don't know that he's going to get the opportunity to prove himself on a 1-year deal. I think that's what you're saying, Levy.
Yeah, I don't think he is going to have the opportunity unless Brees gets hurt.
So what does that mean then? If all of a sudden he's not their quarterback of the future, what does it mean for Jameis then at that point?
Just a weird deal. I don't know.
We felt bad. You were homeless. Here's some money and a place to work out.
He's going to be eating a lot of good seafood, so
That's
he's
true.
got that going for him.
He'll be all right.
Will, what's up? Tater, take this one for us. Chargers offense, Tyrod Taylor or Herbert's this season, and is it plus or minus for the receiving core?
Willie Jenkins.
I love Will Jenkins. He's my favorite.
Hey, leave it up there. Leave it up there. Please. Thank you. So, of course, Will, thanks for joining us. Chargers offense this year, I think it hurts either way. Whoever's going to be under center, I think it's going to hurt Keenan Allen a little bit. I think it's going to hurt Mike Williams a little bit. Their fantasy value gets capped with both of those guys under center. Tyrod Taylor has never been a guy that's going to throw for a ton of yards, a ton of tutties. He's a game manager that doesn't turn the football over and gives you a chance to win, but it's more of a grinded out, move the chains type of format, not high flying, throwing the ball over the yard. Herbert, you get him under center. Oh boy, that means the season is lost. And speaking of lost, that kid is lost when it comes to going through his progressions on a regular basis, especially when he faces pressure. So if they drafted Herbert at 6 overall, they clearly believe in him. They're going to get what they wish if they decide to go ahead and put that kid into harm's way and just throw him into the fire. Because
speaking of lost, not Penny's boat.
I got you there, Buck.
Yeah, I knew you got me there.
What?
Sorry, I've never watched Lost.
Oh, darn it!
I watched
You either, Stan?
I watched season 1.
No, see, this is deep. It's a deep cut, not Penny's boat.
That is deep. Wait, so where are you taking Allen next year, Tate? Like what round?
Allen drops to like the 4th or 5th round to me.
Wow.
He's still the top option. It's just that I'm not going to overinvest in his upside is capped, guys. That's what I'm saying. His upside is capped. And it destroys Mike Williams, in my opinion. Mike Williams is now like an 8th or 9th rounder. Like, if that. I mean,
10th.
I mean, unless they decide to go ahead and bring in Cam Newton, which I don't think that's going to happen now that you draft Herbert at 6.
It's basically the Austin Eckler show, and everybody else is a bit player.
Right.
I still like the Eck piece in the second round. Love him.
Love him. More now than ever, knowing that it's Tyrod Taylor in there.
So Eckler doesn't move around on your rankings for either of you. He just stays. Like, he's not hurt or like improved. He just stays.
There's still a lot of questions about him. You know, has he ever been asked to take on a full load? There's that buzzword Levy loves so much.
Looked pretty damn good carrying a full load the first 5 weeks of the season last year.
Yeah.
What? The running back won in all formats?
Yeah. Propelled me. He was awesome for me.
Has he done it for an entire season, though, is what you're trying to say?
Yeah, and so I don't think I can just like hinge to the fact that he's going to be this different back in year 2020. But is it 2020 or 2021 when we'll have football again, guys?
It's going to be 2020 season, but if it's going to be Madden 2021. It can be a little confusing.
I get very confused. I'm so sorry.
Madden 2021?
I want to go ahead and throw this out there, though. Isn't Eckler safer than some of the running backs that we're propelling in front of him now?
Yeah.
Isn't he safer? Like especially for PPR? Isn't he a safer bet than a lot of the players that are going to be drafted ahead of him?
I agree 100%.
Like, probably most people would probably still take Nick Chubb, Joe Mixon before him. I still think Eckler is a safer bet than both of those guys.
So is Eckler a first rounder?
I would not sneeze if anybody took Eckler at the end of the first round.
Why would you sneeze?
Well, I wouldn't. What's it called?
Allergies?
I'm allergic to Eckler.
No. That's a weird reaction.
Who took Eckler?
Hey, these fake sneezes are electric, buddy.
Sorry.
I'm dying.
No, I need more fake sneezes.
Oh, wait, okay, I have a question then, because
so I watched the other day Get Him to the Greek, where he talking about having the heroin up his ass as a mule, and he's like, I gotta sneeze. It's very important that if you sneeze, you have to clinch at the same time. He goes,
That's such a good scene.
That is such an underrated comedy in my book. I think it's gold.
Oh,
it's hard to watch at times because of just how bad of a person Aldous Snow is, but it's a great one.
It's a beautiful train wreck that captures how awkward it could be for a guy trying to control a personality like that.
And Puff Daddy is awesome as like the boss of Jonah Hill. He's so good.
Okay, I have a question for you, Tate. I have a question because we're talking about Eckler, and I want to use the wealth of knowledge that you have, Tate, as you've done the deepest of dives, and I feel like most of these rookies that probably not everyone has. So I have to ask about Joshua Kelly with the Chargers taking him. Now, how do you see him fitting in? Obviously, we were super high on Eckler. He's not someone that, unlike the other running backs we've talked about that have joined these other running backs, you're not worried about that. So how do you see him fitting into this offense, or is he just not someone that's as talented as the other ones? So the drop-off is so big, that's why you're not worried.
Joshua Kelly doesn't scare me whatsoever. Let's put it that way. We're talking about Austin Eckler and Justin Jackson. That's the backfield for the Los Angeles Chargers this year. And those are the only ones that are relevant to me. If you want to take a late round stab on somebody in a dynasty league or whatever, that's completely fine. But to me, he's not going to factor in.
That's good to know, though. I mean, because a lot of people have not taken the time that you have to look as far into these running backs. And because so many running backs have joined other running backs that are so prevalent, and we're all now scared about these committees that are happening, it's good for, people listening to know not be scared.
Absolutely. I mean, even guys like LaMichael Pirine, who got drafted by the New York Jets, out of Florida. Bucky knows knows exactly who I'm talking about. LaMichael Pirine is a pretty good player, man. He's solid. I don't think he's anything that's ever going to explode onto the scene, but if you give him ample opportunity and say things go south with Lev Bell again this upcoming season, he's a guy worth keeping an eye on because given their depth.
You know what runs hand in hand with hurricane season? Lev Bell being pissed off season. Shit.
So true, man.
Yeah, I honestly was kind of thinking he may have been quietly on the trade block and was potentially even going to be let go this offseason, but it feels like they're riding with Lev Bell. So there's a lot of even like I think Jermichael Hasty from Baylor didn't get drafted. I'm not a huge on him, but I was surprised to see that even the team didn't even pick him up.
Well, I thought he got signed by the Niners, didn't he?
Signed, but again, not drafted.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of these guys are going to get drafted immediately and put on the practice squad or whatever. So, I mean, there's a bunch of undrafted free agents that'll find a home. But just some food for thought. That's the only thing.
Yeah, maybe that's why they were so ready to get rid of Breda, right? But let's get into. I like this question. This is going to be juicy, and I think we're all going to have different answers here. Washnock, what's up, Kyle? Out of all the wide receivers taken in the first round, who has the most fantasy impact this year? Bucky, you start us off.
Well, you know where I'm going. Jalen Reagor.
That's why I gave you the floor first.
The perfect situation for him there to be the bell cow receiver for the Philadelphia Eagles. I don't think that any of the other receivers really are going to have the immediate impact that he does just because of the situation he found himself in. Team absolutely desperate for a threat on the outside. You get an explosive athlete with plus hands, high points the ball, plays with a mean streak. I love everything about the kid, and I think he's going to be a contributor from day one, assuming that, learning the playbook. You know what's so weird? It will be different this year than years past because these guys don't have the same buildup, the 3-month buildup of working out with your teammates and going over the playbook in real time. And so maybe, we need to start taking that into consideration. But let's imagine that we are performing these. Jalen Reagor for me is the most pre-packaged, ready to go. He's a Lunchable, right? You pull out the Lunchable, you're eating lunch. That's what he's doing right now. Ready to go.
Do you even make sandwiches when you have a Lunchable, or do you just start eating from each corner?
I make a sandwich, Sam, because I'm a man of values.
I had to ask. I had to know which kind of person you are.
Yeah.
Man's got to have a code.
Yeah. And you know what's so funny? Where do you find the Lunchable crackers? You can't just buy the Lunchable crackers. They're their own cracker, and they rule. You can never have enough of them, but there are only 4 in the whole damn thing.
You're supposed to look like a sandwich?
Proprietary crackers, Buck.
I need those crackers. So if they could just have Lunchables crackers in the cracker aisle next to chicken and a biscuit, I'll be fine with that.
I'd buy that. I would buy that, actually.
Tater, who you got?
First round. So the question was first round.
First round. Yep.
So, Buck, I thought it was interesting that you brought up the shortened offseason because wide receiver is traditionally one of the toughest positions to translate from college to the NFL because you could be running against trash-ass Big 12 defenses into gaping wide holes and zones, and your production could come very easy. I'm not saying that was the case for CeeDee Lamb and Jalen Reagor and anybody that played in the Big 12. I'm just saying in college, it's different for the systems that they play in. And even N'Keal Harry last year, who was either the number 1 or number 3 wide receiver on most people's dynasty boards last year, talked about how difficult it was when he got drafted by the New England Patriots to learn the new vernacular and vocabulary of an NFL system. They went by hand signs and signals in college for what their routes were going to be. Now you go to the National Football League and you have to see and read defenses to know what your route stems are going to be. It's completely different in a lot of circumstances for wide receivers transitioning to the National Football League. So that being said, who's a wide receiver that played in a pro-style system last season? Justin Jefferson from LSU. He played in the slot, almost predominantly in the slot, and had to, as far as some of the system preferences that Joe Brady brought from the New Orleans Saints to LSU, it was something where Justin Jefferson almost every snap had to read what the defense was trying, what the leverage was of the defense, what they were trying to do, and then on the fly, read it the same way that Joe Burrow has to. I think with Adam Thielen on the other side and Jefferson being able to be moved all around the formation, yes, the Vikings are still going to be built through Dalvin Cook, but the snaps and the consistent looks are going to be there for Justin Jefferson to have a very nice rookie fantasy floor in 2020.
So do you have him as your number 1 wide receiver on your rookie board?
I do. And it sucks because I think CeeDee Lamb is a better player. I do. And I love Jalen Reagor, and God almighty, a deep threat with one of the best deep ball throwers in the National Football League in Carson Wentz. That could be a match made in heaven there in Philadelphia. But that being said, I'm going to go ahead and go with what I feel is going to be a safe fantasy floor with some upside with Justin Jefferson.
Now, do you have Reagor at 2?
I want to go Lamb at 2, but I do have Reagor at 2.
Yes.
For this year. Dynasty still got CeeDee Lamb, but for this year, Reagor.
Right. Sam?
This is tough because I really like both of those players, and I want to be different and not talk about the same player and be like, I agree with both of you. But I have both of them really high, and I did take both of them in the rookie draft I'm in now. So I have a lot of picks, and I'm a very happy person. But I also took Jerry Jeudy in that league because I thought it was also fun to go Jerry Jeudy, Justin Jefferson with all the JJs, and just took them all.
Next up, Jimmy Johns.
Jimmy Johns.
Don't
took Jimmy Johns as well.
Take a white cloud.
I just took all the J's. I just did. I think that they're both going to see immediate. I think they're both going to see immediate use. You have to laugh at the Raiders when they took Henry Ruggs because of course they would take the fast guy.
Of course.
Because why wouldn't they? But they're going to use him. So I really like Ruggs with the Raiders, and I feel like he is going to get a lot of usage there too. Do I have him ahead of the two you guys mentioned? No, but as far as fantasy impact this year, I really like him this year too. So it's tough because I mean obviously this is such a deep receiver class, and a lot of these players we are going to see impact this year. Who's going to have the biggest? I mean, I think it's going to be a toss up between Justin Jefferson and Reagor, but I think Ruggs is going to see a lot of potential there. I think Lamb's going to see some too. I mean, he's too crazy an athlete to not see it. The rest of the top, it's all split for me. Like they all kind of end up mushing together in overall fantasy value at the end of this year. So it's hard to pick a third. Don't make me pick. It's like picking your favorite kid.
The one
Actually,
thing
I don't have a kid. I'm going to say dog. I really don't have a dog.
Levy, before I just want to jump in real quick.
Yep.
When it comes to Ruggs that scares me, certainly he was the best deep threat in this entire draft, hands down. But who's going to take attention away from him in Oakland? Who's going to draw attention away from him to be able to actually take advantage of
Nelson Aguilar.
Getting
Ryan Edwards.
Gruden is bringing back Joey Galloway.
Tyrell. I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
Tyrod Williams.
No, that's it. That's all the only question I had, and you guys just answered it beautifully.
Yeah, it's not great. And CeeDee Lamb, that's such a Jerry Jones pick. We knew he was making the decisions by himself.
I kind of get it, even though it doesn't make sense as far as their team needs. I thought he was the best wide receiver in this draft, so it's kind of hard to argue with it. But
I mean, that's a nasty one too with Cooper, and then you've got Gallup in there too. So I mean, they're absolutely loaded on offense. There's no doubt about it. They'll find
it. Helps Dak. I mean, you talk about a guy that could definitely finish in the top 5 at quarterback this year. Dak Prescott. I mean, God, has he got weapons for days if he decides to actually sign his franchise tag or get a long-term contract. Yep.
Right. All right. So I love that we all had different answers here. So I'm going to go with the number one guy I had pre-draft on my board, and I do like the landing spot for Jerry Jeudy in Denver. I like it. I like anyone who's playing opposite of Courtland Sutton. I think come on, guys.
You're just mad because you were high on
both of you. Both of you.
No.
Keep shaking your head. I'll just keep holding those fantasy football championship trophies, boys.
Sad Marys over here.
I'm not a big Drew Lock fan by any means, but the opportunity is certainly going to be there for Jeudy. So I love him opposite Courtland Sutton, and I love Sutton this year too.
So I agree that it helps that he has somebody to take attention away from him. 100%. I think Jeudy is a great 1A, 1B combination. I think that's how he works best. Because if you double him and get physical with him at the line of scrimmage, that's what makes me a little bit nervous about him being a true prototypical number 1. But a number 2, a high-end number 2 with Courtland Sutton on the other side, and not to mention their games are completely opposite. So they bring you completely different skill sets. But they also drafted KJ Hamler. And KJ Hamler was a poor man's version of Jalen Reagor and Henry Ruggs. He was a deep threat for days over there with Penn State. So I'm just saying, we don't know what the hell to expect from Drew Lock. So that's why another reason. The guy throwing him the football, we have no idea what to expect from him.
Denver's pretty loaded, though. I'll tell you what, man.
Tell you what.
All right, question from Leonidas. Finish this sentence. This is a good one. I like this type of question. The Bucks will blank this season.
The Bucks will not throw 36 interceptions this season.
The Bucks will win a few games this season.
The Bucks will finish 10-6 this season.
There's 17
You want
games.
a prediction? I'll give you a prediction, Leonard.
There's 17 games now, Tate.
Well, he went 10-6 and 1 tie.
Wait, is that actually adjusted for this season? I know that they expanded the playoff format, but did they expand the regular season?
Oh, is it next season?
The Bucks will win the NFC South this season.
Spicy.
The Bucks will win the Super Bowl this season.
Let's go.
The Bucks beat Bills. It'll be Bucks beat Bills, and the Bills will blow it for the 5th time.
The Bucks will go 16-0 this season. Is that what you want, Leonidas?
I'm absolutely terrified of the 49ers.
I didn't want to be your king.
I
I didn't want it.
I never asked for it.
Derek, thanks for joining us. Which running back will have more of a fantasy impact, Dobbins or Taylor? Tater, you're first.
No! Damn it! This is so tough. This is why we get paid the big bucks, though. We're supposed to answer these questions, and I don't know. I'm admitting I don't know. Look, I will say this. Taylor's playing behind arguably the best offensive line in all of football. I mean, we do know that much. But we also know that Dobbins just joined a rushing juggernaut because the Ravens averaged over 200 yards per game on the ground last season. And not to mention you have Lamar Jackson, which just makes life a living hell for opposing defenses to try to contain him with all those RPO read options of that stuff of that nature. So, damn it.
Tough choice.
I'm going Taylor. I hate to say it, but I'm going Taylor.
I have to go Taylor too. I think that because Dobbins is going to have more struggles with getting with pass protection, but also with carries against Ingram because he's still really successful. I just think Taylor, he's such a beast. He's gonna. How do you hold back the Hulk? You can't.
I guess Justice Hill is dead, huh?
I'll play contrarian. I will play contrarian. I will say J.K. Dobbins. You say, pass block in there. They don't pass in Baltimore. So they run the damn ball. They're going to it's a joke, Tate. You know
okay.
I speak in hyperbole is how I speak it.
Hyperbole?
Don't correct his enunciation.
Cacophony. Cacophony of clowns I'm looking at right now.
Cacophinated clowns.
I speak in hyperbole, okay? So
highly cacophinated.
No, but I think Dobbins has a role for sure. But I do think it was more of a depth pick for them and not so much we're going to feature this player. So I'm trying to go contrarian, but I can't even talk myself into it. I'm going to go JT here. Jonathan Taylor.
So if I'm going to say if both players are going to see limited roles, the tiebreaker is likely this team that has more scoring opportunities. And what offense was as productive as the Baltimore Ravens last season? So Dobbins, they're probably the one thing that concerns me is I think Taylor is going to be Taylor's not even going to be featured in the passing game all that much. They've got Nyheim Hines. So if in a vacuum, even though I think Taylor is the better player and the better prospect, I think Dobbins is in the better situation.
So you really do think Marlon Mack is still going to have a pretty significant role in this offense?
I still do. Yeah, I do. When you look at Mack, did he ever look like shit when he was healthy?
No.
He never looked bad. I always thought he was a really, really, really good running back. I mean, and I thought he was efficient, effective. That's why the pick kind of confused me. But I understand that Mack's going to be coming up in his contract year, which is again, guys, when it comes to these long-term running backs in today's NFL, no one wants to pay a running back. So all these guys, Kerryon Johnson, Marlon Mack, they're coming up on their rookie deals. We just saw Christian McCaffrey reset the running back contract market. And, now you're looking at Dalvin Cook needing to get paid, Alvin Kamara, Leonard Fournette. Why do you think they wanted to trade Fournette? I mean, it's these things with their contracts Joe Mixon is going to be up on a contract deal. He may hold out. So I'm just saying, guys, that's the thing, the thinking behind it.
Fair enough. I dig it.
That makes sense.
That was great advanced analytics.
I got a lot of shit up in here.
Got a lot of thoughts.
Let me see all those notes. Show the people your notes.
1 page. I feel like you've got way more.
Shit, I knocked down my mic.
Kyle says loss is a great show. I agree. Victor, we talked about Swift going to Detroit earlier. Pretty much hate it. Well, Tate was very strong about it.
You're going to die, Charlie.
It hurts my-
I mean, that's a what?
What accent is that?
Can we talk about any of the wide receivers? Like, I know that we got to wrap things up here pretty soon, but
What?
are there any other? I know we talked about the first round wide receivers, but this wide receiver class was so deep. Like, were there any other draft picks at the wide receiver spot? We haven't even talked about Brandon Ayuk, which, by the way, the 49ers, didn't they trade up to get Brandon Ayuk?
Is that how you say it? I want to say Ayuk.
Did.
Brandon Ayuk. Yeah, it's Brandon Ayuk.
Ayuk?
Exactly. Tate knows. DBZ boys.
Oh my gosh. So good.
Come on. I thought that was a pretty good.
That was good.
That was a pretty good Ryu.
I mean, and then they went and traded Marquise too. So
Tate, why do you say we're wrapping up? I feel like we got a lot to get to here.
I mean, I'm just saying that
I can order a pizza. I can be here for another hour.
We've been going for over an hour is the only thing. I'm just saying I don't want to take up too much of y'all's time, but I got fucking 5 pages. Whoopsie.
okay, it's in the meat.
5 pages of notes. So, I mean,
we're only through page 1. Let's go. Let's do it. I've had so much coffee.
I'm here to be here, man.
That's why I went and grabbed a White Claw. I hit the time on my ear.
Maybe go grab a Bloody Mary. I mean, kidding. Something else that doesn't sting on you.
No Bloody Marys at the podcast station anymore.
Yeah.
New rule. No tomato juice.
I don't think I've ever seen Levy that upset.
Ooh, mango.
A White Claw delivered.
Does your wife have like a board of things that she crosses out that you're not allowed in your podcast room?
I am banned from open containers like that. Open glasses, I should say. I need to drink out of a can.
Are you a spiller?
Or malt. Yeah.
Lindsay runs a tough ship over there. I'm sure there's a set of house rules.
Is there a record of like massive spills that you've had on certain foods?
I'm a big time spiller. I'll spill anything, but Tate, at least I'm not the crumb bandit, my wife says.
Yeah, the crumb bandit.
Oh yeah.
The crumb bandit.
You know what? I'm gonna mute myself while I react to Lindsay on that.
Oh man. What, that was on a podcast where you revealed that she called you the crumb bandit. That was the best.
That was like,
I've heard of this legend that is the crumb bandit.
But see, Sam, here's the thing about Levy. He doesn't eat condiments. So if you don't eat condiments, like usually the spills are condiment related.
True.
So I was just going to say, because you're wearing a white shirt, and we're all wearing white shirts today, there are some people that are such bad spillers, they don't even allow themselves to wear white shirts because then they're just the messy spill. Are you just a spill outward rather than on?
I won't wear this.
Yeah, I'm more of an outward spiller, I guess you would say.
Outward spiller, yeah. Outward.
Yeah, I don't typically get it on myself. I usually just get it all over the place.
You're not a personal spiller, you're an outward.
Yeah, he's like he's a butt fumbler.
Yeah, butt fumbler.
Yeah.
The butt fumbler of spills.
Let's get to this question. Dried Ocean.
Question.
Where are we getting to the Jalen Hurts talk? Any thoughts there, crew?
There's a lot of hurts and love around a couple of these quarterback picks. Just got to say that.
What sucks is that I would have loved to have seen Hurts go to New England. I think that Hurts would have been someone to fit in who's just kind of a natural winner, has qualities that are kind of similar to Dak Prescott. I really see a lot of Dak in Jalen Hurts. The problem is Philadelphia, man, Carson Wentz is one of the highest paid quarterbacks in the entire National Football League. And I get that he's a nice insurance policy to keep you competitive with Wentz in particular. Wentz has had a lot of durability issues in his pro career. So it makes sense. Do I think that it would have made more sense to continue to load up as far as skill position players for Carson Wentz, who the bodies they were rolling out there last year were just rough and Wentz still made it work. Yeah. It would be nice to – I mean, I know that they picked up – by the way, we didn't talk about Quez Watkins. They picked up another deep threat in Quezzy.
I like Quez.
Quez, best deep ball thrower in the league is Carson Wentz. Maybe with like right there with Patrick Mahomes. So I mean, point is,
and you have Quez
and Deshaun Jackson.
Yeah,
I mean, even if Deshaun's healthy for 8 out of 16 games, you still got a lot of deep threats there for Carson Wentz.
Just run the bomb over and over again from NFL Blitz.
That's what we should do, is just host an NFL Blitz tournament, and I'll announce it. Anybody want to be my color commentator?
I just want to take you down in Blitz.
You've lost your damn mind.
Online, though, that's kind of an issue right now.
The what?
I don't think you can play Blitz online.
Oh yeah, that's true.
I can. Well, the thing is, with streaming your gaming nowadays, I can actually figure it out. We can do it if we want to have a Blitz tournament with the 4 of us. We could do it if you guys all have NFL Blitz, but you don't.
Does someone want to buy me a gaming system and then I'll play?
I can confirm Sam's no good at NFL Blitz. So
Nintendo 64.
We were playing an arcade game and we were both drinking a lot. So
not an excuse.
That is an excuse. If you're playing on an arcade
under pressure.
How do you execute on a game that you can barely like move the controllers because it's been used by so many people in the bar?
I think Hurts is basically Philly understanding that having a backup that's viable is extremely important when you have an injury-riddled quarterback. And I think Wentz is definitely the better player. I think he is, kind of like the bell cow. That bell cow is not a good word for a quarterback. The linchpin there. And it's a weird landing spot because I'm with you, Tate. Would have much preferred to see him go to New England because that would have fired me up. I really would have just liked to see what Bill came up with a mobile quarterback like a Jalen Hurts.
Same.
When we're, taking on that new challenge because right now with Hoyer and Stidham, it's the same old. You have drop back quarterbacks, right? So it would have been really cool to see taking on a challenge of a guy like Hurts who, despite all of his great athleticism and is just, you said it, he's a winner. The guy just goes and he wins ball games. I think he really could have tooled up some really cool offense with Jalen Hurts. So that's one disappointing piece, but I like him in Philly. I think learning under Wentz will be good. I think Doug Peterson's the right guy there on top of the ship for a guy like Jalen Hurts, hard nosed, like a very unassuming fat guy. Doug Peterson, like he tries so hard not to embrace his fatness, but he's just like, he's a tank. He's a big unit. And guys like that know mobile quarterbacks because they aspire to be them.
It would have just been very interesting. Sorry, Sam. It would have just been very interesting to see McDaniels, who once upon a time took Tim Tebow in the first round. It would have, as a head coach, it would have been nice to see him have a mobile quarterback to play around with and at least compete for that job there in New England.
Now, with how mobile he is and what a great athlete he is, and we're saying, we might see him on the field more quicker than we would normally just because Wentz does have injury issues. Could we also see some special Philly plays?
Yes, I believe that's happening.
Right, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So that could be interesting. But I also think that if Wentz does get hurt again this season and Hurts is able to carry the team into the playoffs, we could potentially see Hurts traded next year with a starting job. So I feel like Hurts has a lot of value in Dynasty, just like, even though you're not going to see him as a starting quarterback like other players like Burrows, if you have later picks, he's not someone to shy away from because of the potential later for Dynasty purposes.
I dig that. And I'm with you on the way they're going to use him. I think he's going to get involved this year in some capacity. I could see him taking that Taysom Hill type of role. I mean, he's a strong kid. He can run the ball. Get the ball in his hand.
He led Oklahoma in rushing last year, and he had accounted for 52 total touchdowns. I mean, Hurts finished second in the Heisman voting for a reason.
Yeah.
I mean, to be honest with you, if it wasn't for Tua being arguably a number 1 overall pick type prospect, Alabama would have been rolling with Hurts for the last 3 or 4 years.
Yep.
So I get the pick. There's something that doesn't sit right with me because first and second round talent guys in the NFL draft, don't you agree that they are generally starting caliber players that can come in and contribute immediately? I'm not saying you don't do anything as far as your franchise goes to be able to plan for the future. or plan for circumstantial things that you have accumulated stat-wise, like Carson Wentz missing a couple games a year, having, concussion and knee issues. I'm just saying it would have been nice. I don't know about a second-round pick. I just thought it was a little high. But Philadelphia overall, though, they definitely, with Quez Watkins and Jalen Ray. I love that name, dude. God almighty. Good golly, Miss Molly.
Oh my God.
I did say that in the midst of a broadcast when a young lady named Molly Anderson nailed a three-pointer.
All right, so Matt's got a question here. We talked about the Colts a little bit in terms of Taylor, but we didn't really talk about Pittman. But he says he loves the Colts draft class. How do you foresee Taylor and Pittman's fantasy contributions in a Phillip Rivers-led offense? Your thoughts?
Look, I'm going to let Bucky run with this one. I'm just going to go ahead and say that big-bodied receivers seem to do pretty well with your boy P. Riv chucking the rock.
That's exactly what I was going to say, Tate. I think you look at this, you have T.Y. Hilton, not a big individual. Paris Campbell, still a lot of question marks there. The third option was Pascal. I think Pittman is immediately inserted into the wide receiver 3 role with an opportunity to climb over Paris Campbell and really become, the barrier threat for them while Paris Campbell works more of his in the middle, Swiss Army knife type thing. I'm actually very high on Pittman. I think we had been talking about it earlier, Sam. I am high on Pittman. I like the prospect. I like the pedigree, and I like the situation. I look for him to actually mesh pretty well with a guy like P. Riv, who spreads the ball. He does do that.
It was your endorsement that had me pick him in the second of this rookie draft.
Oh, you got him.
I did get him, yeah. For the record, I had like 12 picks in this rookie draft. I had a lot of picks.
Another Uncle Buck wreck.
I like the landing spot for Pittman. I was pretty high on him coming in.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I had the toughest time trying to grade out Michael Pittman and Chase Claypool. Those were the two that I struggled the most with because they're big-bodied physical receivers and Claypool in general can just burn deep. Michael Pittman's not that, but neither was Juju Smith-Schuster coming out of USC. But he's a big-bodied receiver that's pretty just savvy. And again, those football lineage with Michael Pittman.
Bloodline.
He doesn't have the arms, the cannons, though, that Michael Pittman had, though. He doesn't have those cannons.
Well, that's got to be the most embarrassing thing. So you think about motivation, knowing that your father's guns are something that you could never, ever come close to has to motivate him every single day.
Right.
As I eat my brownie round.
I think he could have a better NFL career than his father, though.
These things are addicting.
Where'd you get that brownie from?
Putting your hand over the mic doesn't actually put you on mute.
No.
You guys can still hear me laugh.
Did you make those brownies yourself, Bucks?
No, they're from Publix. Chewy, bite-sized brownies.
Oh, precious.
So, was there anybody else in particular? Because I thought that there were some interesting receiver picks in particular. Laviska Shenault Jr. is the one that I don't know what to think. I think there's going to be an opportunity there. I think it drops D.D. Westbrook, any fantasy value that Westbrook that had perceived anyway. Drops him down. Shenault is just a do-it-all kind of physical freak that just get the ball in his hands, whether it's, you want to bring him on end around, jet sweeps, or just, he has the ability to get vertical. I love Laviska Shenault Jr. of all the second round wide receivers. But Chase Claypool, Michael Pittman, who else went in the second round? I mean, I can bring it up real quick, but there's a couple that kind of stood out to me. What's that?
You had T. Higgins. You had Pittman. You then had Laviska. You then had Chase Claypool, who I am high. KJ Hamler.
Mims.
Denzel Mims. That's the guy I forgot about with the Jets.
That's my boy.
I knew I was forgetting somebody.
Yep.
Denzel could be he could be the most productive fantasy wide receiver just given an opportunity this year, man. Like, are we really sold on Brashad Perriman?
No.
Crowder is probably the guy I like the most of all of the Jets wide receivers. But I wouldn't be shocked if Denzel Mims has himself a nice little 50 catch, 850 yards, and 6 touchdowns type of season.
Yeah, that would be nice to see. Okay, I have a question, not to completely derail us, but it's on the topic of rookies, and I'm in a rookie draft. And again, I said I had 12 picks. We're in the third round. I have the first, second, and fourth of the third round. And so I kind of control where this is going. And I love that control. But I'm looking at who is available, and it's a little bit difficult for me because there's a part of me that really wants to take a Love or a Hurts with one of these picks. But then I also see Peoples-Jones is still there, but I'm not tempted by him just because of the craziness that happens in Cleveland, and they burned me last year and all the hype. So it's hard for me to get excited about a rookie in that camp. And then we got A.J. Dillon, we got Gibson in Washington, Antonio Gibson. There's just a lot of extra picks. Antonio, Gandy, Golden, 2 Antonios. And then, the clutch tight end that the Bears took in Cole Kmet. That's not. Don't worry, I won't fall into that trap.
The bear trap?
The bear trap that it is. So with these picks, I feel like I can go with a Love or a Hurts here.
Can you just log into your sleeper via one of your window tabs and share your screen?
Okay, well, that's gonna be hard. Hang on, let me figure
You
it
know
out.
what they say, Sam. You know what they say. Love hurts.
Love. That's why I avoid it. But okay, hang on. I'll try and do that. But while I'm trying to do that, help me out here.
Go with Love.
Do you love? So the question to me is then, in a dynasty purpose, I already have Tua. I have Rodgers as my starting quarterback. It is a super flex, so I would like to have another starting. What did you just do, Tate? That was so confusing. Was that a dance?
I was about to let it rip, but I bit my lip because you were talking. So I was like,
oh my God, so good.
He's back to the heroin thing again, where he's got a fuse and he can't do it.
Tate's got some good moves today.
Yeah, he's on one.
That is a thing. Oh my goodness. All right.
I'll go Love.
You think Love over Hurts?
Is this a super flex?
It is a super flex.
Okay, all right. Then the road to starting is way, way, way sooner for Jordan Love than it is for Jalen Hurts.
Is it? What if there's an injury again? I mean, I know that's not something.
Are you predicting injuries?
No, you can't predict that.
So no, I Love is the pick if you want to go quarterback in the super flex.
All right, I've got the window open. How do I do this?
Just go down to the bottom of your screen. It says share screen.
Just make sure there's no weird tabs open. Sam.
I was just going to say, be careful what you're showing us over there.
I have to go through this exercise every single day.
Check your
every single time. All right. Well, let me just go ahead and make this window way bigger. Can you guys see that?
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
I love the name of your league, Chicks versus Dicks, by the way.
Yep, that is what it is. It is an equal ladies and gents league. And so as you can see, I have this pick, the following one, someone else has a pick, and then I've got the next one. So I've got these 3, and then I don't pick again until the first of the 4th round. So lots of options here. Just wanting to know what I should shore up, because I don't really have a lot of wide receiver depth, but I did pick up Justin Jefferson, Jerry Jeudy, Jalen Reagor, Laviska Shenault, Michael Pittman. So I'm kind of set on.
You took 5 wide receivers. Yeah, you're kind of set.
I'm kind of set.
You're good.
And I did get Cam Akers, so I got a good running back. So I'm okay.
Personally,
on running back.
I would go A.J. Dillon and then Antonio Gibson.
You wouldn't go QB here?
No, you're set on QB.
In a super flex.
In a super flex, though, that's the only thing for me.
You have to. I mean, you're gonna have to wait for. Yeah, you're gonna have to wait for either Hurts or Love. Which, by the way, Love is the guy that'll start sooner, like consistently. Yes, spot duty, Levy. He'll start for Wentz here and there if he gets hurt. But
okay, so I'm going Antonio Gibson, and then your pick of the quarterbacks. I think Antonio Gibson is an intriguing prospect for sure.
More so than A.J. Dillon.
Well, here's what I like about Gibson. Gibson is a big-bodied guy who's multi-talented. He can receive. He can run the ball. I like what he brings to the table. Like, he is a more full package of a player who can definitely get involved, in my opinion. And I'm curious to hear Tate's analysis of him because I watched a lot of his tape. I liked what he brought to the table.
He's kind of a tweener.
Yeah.
He could play running back if you really wanted him to. I mean, he could. That's how dynamic he is once he gets the ball in his hands. It's just, is he a slot receiver? We don't really know. Is he a guy that's going to play on the outside and potentially take away the position from Kelvin Harmon? We don't know. It's like he's kind of just this freak athlete that is damn good as a playmaker, but I just don't know if he's going to pick up the nuances of playing wide receiver in the National Football League to have a consistent role. But is there opportunity with the Washington Redskins? Yes. The answer is yes there. So I like him as a prospect. In a super flex, I do put an emphasis on Jordan Love. I do put an emphasis on Love. But also another guy that you mentioned, KJ Hamler. Like, KJ Hamler is such a good deep threat. Such a good deep threat. We don't know what the hell to expect from the Broncos offense. Mm-hmm. But he is a home run hitter. And you talk about a guy that is, I think, a much more polished actual receiver than someone like Antonio Gibson. They're similar athletes. Gibson's way better and way more stronger. But Hamler's got that vertical speed. So for me, I got Hamler a little bit above Antonio Gibson.
Gotcha. I did just get an offer for this pick, but I'm not going to take it because I don't like it.
Go with Love.
Yeah, go with Love.
Can you feel?
Now, see, this is the really fun thing about having this many picks. I can do this, and then I have the next pick. So now I can go back, and I can go Dillon or Gibson still. That's the really fun thing. Because I did definitely want a quarterback here. I just couldn't decide between Love and Hurts, which I just love their last names for that reason. I went Love.
There you go.
Gotta love Love.
Don't worry, you're gonna pick Hurts later. It always.
I will probably pick Hurts later.
Hurts with this pick, just double up.
I know I could, and that's the thing. That's the beauty of this pick is I could double up, or I could wait and see if he stays and then take him at this fourth pick in the third. So for me, it's AJ Dillon or it's Gibson. Then just based on opportunity, I do like the opportunity in Washington. As someone that owns Aaron Jones in a couple leagues, I am scared of what AJ Dillon can do. So I feel like not taking him is just ensuring the fact that he takes away yards.
Do you own Jones in this league?
Yeah.
I do not own him in this league. I do not. So it's almost taking the handcuff from someone else if I take him now.
Just like an upside pick for me. I'm a Gibson guy, but I know Tate's he hit the nail on the head. Where does he really fit? But that's kind of what intrigues me with it. It's like kind of like the Jalen Samuels thing where you're like, how does he really fit in?
Mm-hmm.
I thought I did a good job selling KJ Hamler, but I
would go Hamler after that sell job, no doubt about it.
But it's not my team.
But I already have.
Like Hamler, I don't like Drew.
I'm trying to get her away from all these wide receivers.
I already have 5 rookie receivers.
That's a good point.
Well, then Dillon, I mean, if you're talking about the running backs that are left on the board, and what about Keyshawn Vaughn?
He's already been taken.
He got picked like 6th.
Yeah, he got picked early.
Holy shit!
Yeah, he got picked wicked early.
Yeah, that's
right. Tater, I know you got another show in 17 minutes, I believe. So let's try to.
I'm gonna take Dillon here.
There you go.
I'm gonna take Dillon here. I'm gonna do
all right. So of the undrafted free agents, who will have a fantasy impact this year?
I don't want to go with someone like Thaddeus Moss because Moss, it's tight end. Tight ends they take a while.
They take so long to develop and finally show up. I mean, how long were we, on the hype train for our guy? God, why am I dropping? I can't do his name. What's wrong with
Jalen Reagor?
No. Tate, who's our tight end? That we love so much.
Cole?
No, the one that has taken so long to develop. He's Tyler Higbee. Yeah, I mean, he's someone that we've been
long to develop. You watch your tongue.
He's been like we've been trying to make him a thing for so long, and he wasn't a thing until this past season. That's what I'm trying to say is that it takes so long for these tight ends to finally show up. It's just too soon to take one. Come on, you gotta give me that. Like we love him. I didn't say I don't love him. I'm just saying it took a while.
I'm going Jermichael Hasty. Somehow he'll find a way into this 49ers offense, and we'll hate it.
That was the guy that jumped out to me was Jermichael Hasty. And given that clearly Shanahan will give an opportunity to players that without draft capital and stuff of that nature, a la Raheem Mostert. So, yeah, I mean, that's the guy that I would probably that jumps off the top of my head as far as to be able to, if I want to stash somebody for Dynasty, Jermichael Hasty's probably the guy.
Bucky, you got anyone else?
Patches O'Houlihan or Uncle Rico.
I would take Uncle Rico as a lead, like round flyer.
Denver, Vegas, and LA all take at least 2 wide receivers this year. Do any of these teams catch KC? I'm going to say no, but Denver probably has the best chance, in my opinion.
No, they're all way behind.
They're all very far behind.
Terrible.
Absolutely. Yeah. I
believe we sucks. Kind of address this one. Which wide receiver from round 2 or 3 do y'all love most for fantasy purposes? Anyone?
Denzel Mims.
Yeah, Mims is my guy.
Mims has the best floor.
Finally getting Sam Darnold a weapon. A weapon is going to be helpful.
Don't sleep on Duvernay.
Devin Duvernay for the Baltimore Ravens. They need a receiver.
I like that pick a lot. That's my pick for this.
Howard, Bray, or Gronk, who will get the most TDs? I think that Brady's best friend is going to have to get the most touchdowns, right? I mean, I'm not the Bucs fan. You guys know best.
I'm going to go Gronk with 8 tutties.
8 tutties. I could see that.
I don't know this version of Tampa Bay where they're actually making decisions. This is
definitely not Howard. It's going to go Gronk, Bray, and then Howard's going to get traded.
Is he though? He would have been traded already.
Who knows? We still got time.
I don't know. I mean, if I had to go, Gronk. I mean, Gronk's the pick for me.
Open 24 hours. Thanks for joining. Just picked Edwards-Helaire at 101 in a 10-team super flex half-point PPR. Good move.
I would have picked Joe Burrow.
In the super flex, Burrow. But it's hard.
Not a bad pick.
Like, is it really that far-fetched to think that a Kansas City running back, if they decide to feature him, could finish in the top 10 at his position? Just because of the potential of that offense.
This isn't a crazy pick. I mean, yes, super flex, you want Burrow, but we don't know what his quarterbacks are. Maybe he didn't have that need.
This is true. Maybe he's got 3 quarterbacks. We don't know
if he's got 3 quarterbacks, if he's got the crazy Lamar Jackson, Mahomes stack that a lot of people are touting because they're amazing, then he didn't need it. So if he didn't need it, then why would you get Burrow? I also love the spite move of if you already have all the quarterbacks and then just taking Burrow just to screw other people over. I love that. But running backs, how we've talked about how, like you said, volatile they are, you got to take him.
Talk about spite. Jameis not actually signing his deal with the Saints until 4:01 tomorrow, so that the Bucs do not get a compensatory pick, is all-time petty moves.
I'm sure he was instructed to do so. He's not the smartest guy in the classroom, sharpest tool in the shed.
He's playing the frick you flute. That's what he's doing.
Yeah.
That looked like a trumpet. It's
gonna be great.
It was from Bruce Almighty. Like, I've never played an instrument in my life.
This is a great question. Victor always brings the heat.
I love this.
I know. I saw this question earlier.
Your top 3 cereals. We'll start with Levy, who I'm not convinced has ever had cereal since it involves pouring milk on it. So we'll go to him first.
You cannot draft a cereal that's already been drafted. So let's treat this as an actual draft.
Oh, that's mean. So we're going to go around the circle? You're going
to
leave the number 1 pick? This isn't fair.
Draft order is as follows. It's Levy, Sam, Tater, Buck.
Yeah, it goes in order around the circle. All right, perfect. Square, I should say. All right, so with the 101 in the 2020 cereal draft.
Oh, I love this so much.
Ryan Levy elects Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
Damn.
Damn it. 101.
Let's 101. Go. That is a really good. Yeah.
No brainer.
So versatile, so delicious. It gets better as it gets softer, which is the biggest conundrum in my brain. I don't understand that, but it does.
This is so tough. You immediately took my pick off the board. I don't even know
everybody's number 1 pick. That's the consensus out there.
The consensus number 1.
CTC is the GOAT.
All right. I got to go with my heart here. It's the first thing that jumped into my head as soon as you took away Cinnamon Toast Crunch. Lucky Charms. I'm going to go Lucky Charms with the 102, and I'm happy with that pick. You know what? It's a childhood delight. Brings me many good memories. And when I'm drunk and get dropped off at the grocery store, I do pick up the pack of 8 cereals and I will only get the box that has the Lucky Charms in it.
I love getting the variety box.
It reminds me of camping. It's so good. It's such a great
only when you're drunk and it's like
move.
11 o'clock and you're at Vaughn's, you're like stumbling through.
Absolutely. My guy at Albertsons always knows when Sam rolls in at 10:30, she went out drinking too early. She's about to get that 8-pack. My guy Troy, he knows me.
Oh man, that's a good.
You're on a first name basis. Nice.
yeah, he knows me. He's seen me dressed in many Halloween costumes.
That's a good pick. I mean, I'm not in love with it because the base of the Lucky Charms, like the non-Lucky Charm portions of the Lucky Charms, are just.
But you have to have that to balance out the sweetness that is the marshmallow. You have.
You mean
to.
the chalk that they
This is a reach, Sam. You could have got.
It's not a reach.
This is a reach.
I love Lucky Charms.
Reach.
Ride or die.
You
All
reach
right.
the reach peaches right now.
Yeah,
right.
you're damn right. You stole my line.
I got that.
Peach.
But you know what? No one's gonna get my round 2 cereal, and I'm fine with it.
Okay.
Go Tate.
What do you got?
To quote Michael Jordan, "You reach, I teach." Sam, yeah, that you left Reese's Puffs on the board. You left.
I don't
Reese's
like
Puffs,
those. I don't like
chocolate
those.
and peanut butter.
I don't like those.
You don't like that?
I don't like those.
So I'm going Reese's Puffs.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know what I don't know how I need to really justify this.
You don't have to. It's a popular pick. A lot of
and
people like
peanut
that
butter.
pick. I'm just saying, I don't like that.
Dude, that's
I
such
don't
a
like
bad
Reese's
kid
Puffs
pick.
either. I think Reese's Puffs is an amateur hour cereal.
Dude, that's an unhealthy pick. That's really unhealthy. It's like eating chocolate for breakfast.
Oh my
Cinnamon
god!
Toast Crunch is
Really?
the most.
I think the only cereal that's worse for you is probably Cookie Crisp.
No,
Oh,
Cinnamon
cookies
Toast Crunch is
cereal.
definitely worse for you than
Cinnamon
all.
Toast Crunch.
You're
I
talking
think the
about
whole box.
horseshit.
All right, so my number one. This is gonna shock the people. It's a Special K with strawberries.
Oh, come on.
What?
Yeah.
Oh my
That's not a
gosh, this is your Matilda pick all over again from the superhero picks we
Look at
had.
me. I am a bastion of health and well-being. Okay, that is what I am.
Strawberry.
So I like to practice that with my cereal preferences. So clearly, Special K is as healthy as it gets. And I'm not talking about just Special K with my own freshly sliced strawberries. It's with the added dehydrated strawberries,
My goodness.
which they definitely put a little sugar on.
Oh my
And
goodness.
I'm telling you what, that is a hitter. That is a hitter, boy. Hey, people out in the comments, take my back. Special K with strawberries, number one pick for me. It's the best in the biz. So now we got to snake draft it, right?
Yeah, come back around.
Yeah, it's coming back around. This is
So
a
it's a
perfect
snake.
circle, Levy. You look upset. You got excited. Some cereal just fell to
Yeah,
you.
you already determined the draft order and snaked the 101. So kiss my ass.
That was an absolute psycho pick right
Sweet justice in the form of cereal.
Special K was a psycho pick.
there. You could have got Special K in the last round, last pick. Like these
That's my
are
favorite
irrelevant right there, dude.
I took a look at the prospects on the board, and I took the one that I thought was the best producer. So that's what I did. Number 2, Golden Grams.
Oh, it's such a good pick. I love golden.
So delicious. Similar to Cinnamon Toast Crunch in that it gets better as it softens up a little bit,
Mhm.
but it still holds its integrity. That's how you know a cereal has a backbone, is when it holds that integrity.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Yes.
I like it. I like
Tate?
it. I mean, Golden Grams was right there for me. I wouldn't say you
Grams is
snaked it because I'm going with Rice Krispies treats.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
No, not
Yeah.
treats. Just Rice
You can't go
Krispies.
treats.
No, I go
what we've
treats.
determined-
No, treats are actually a cereal box that is sold in form of a treat. That is I'm not cooking that up in the kitchen. That is actually
Treats.
there's an actual Rice Krispie treat cereal. So that counts. That 100% counts. Like Bucks' Special K with strawberries dehydrated, drawn out. This counts. Rice Krispie treats. Kiss my ass.
It is rice. It's Rice Krispies with treats is actually the proper name.
That's fine.
I just Googled it. Confirmed.
Okay.
We'll allow it.
Now, with my pick, I have 2 loves here, and they're 2 sides of the same coin. So I got to decide where I'm falling.
Levy may snake you. Be careful.
I'm taking notes over here. I got a lot of sleepers.
I know. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go Fruity Pebbles. And I love my Fruity Pebbles. So they're making my mouth water as I think of them. But I love the way they change the color milk, and then they just get better. You can put them in anything. You can eat them dry. They're delicious.
I'm creeped out by by Fruity Pebbles because of the changing milk.
I like that effect. I like
Do you drink the weird, odd, multicolored milk after?
You have to.
Absolutely. It's a sugary, delicious treat.
Who here actually lets the remaining milk fester? I always finish it off.
Yeah,
whatever the cereal is.
You drink
milk finisher, 100%. Yeah. All right, Levy.
Levy does not drink the cereal milk.
No comment.
Monster.
When I was a kid, I don't think I drank the cereal milk, but as an adult, I definitely do now. But you guys just really screwed this draft up because you just let me build an absolute dynasty powerhouse here with 2 picks back to back. Now I get right.
Yep.
This is so easy for me. This is very easy. I'm going Apple Jacks, and I'm going Fruit Loops.
Oh, these are terrible cereals.
You're an Apple.
I understand, but
Sam, I do not understand.
Listen,
I understand because those both have places in my heart, but I am not taking them in the cereal games. I love that Derek Stolp actually just commented with my full roster because I'm going to take Frosted Flakes right now, mother effers.
No,
that's my cereal. I love this lineup. This is my lineup. So Frosted Flakes is my pick, and no one can argue my pick.
We need to have a talk, okay? Sam, I love Frosted Flakes. You just snaked my 3rd pick. So Frosted Flakes are one of my very few joys that I have remaining in this life.
Yes.
But and now I don't have them. So I'm pretty upset. But Levy, I'm pointing at you. Apple Jacks lose their flavor the minute that you start eating them. You have 2 spoonfuls and then there's 0 flavor. You're eating cardboard the rest of the time.
Nah.
Yes.
Listen.
Apple Jacks of all cereals, it loses its flavor so quickly. It is the fastest kid alive.
You also went with 2 loops. Why? How can you go with 2 loops back to back?
Strategy here.
It's Michael Cera from.
If you mix Fruit Loops and Apple Jacks together, you have a Hall of Fame recipe.
And Fruit Loops are just they do not deserve to be on any of these lists.
I like Fruit Loops. I like them.
Well, you like
they did not, but they didn't make it in my lineup because I like Fruity Pebbles more. The flavor packed in Fruity Pebbles far exceeds the loop.
The fact that all of y'all's cereals are like hovering at a 3rd grade level is what is most shocking to me.
All right.
Says the guy who drafted Special
He's going to take Raisin Bran next. We can all see it.
You
We can all see the writing on the wall.
Special K is an adult cereal, folks. I'm an adult, believe it or not.
Well, speaking of adults, adults pick it right in front of you. I may not sneak you on this one, but I think I will. Look, I sometimes you don't need to go with the flashy, fruity, or chocolatey. I mean, I want to round out my top 3. I'm going with Honey Nut Cheerios. It's an oldie but a goodie. I really enjoy Honey Nut Cheerios. Like
Honey Nut Cheerios the Frank Gore.
Yes, this is the sideboard.
Is the Frank Gore of.
I'm going with the veteran. I'm going with the veteran here. It's fine.
Okay,
I respect it.
I like the pick, but I gotta come clean on it. I like the multigrain Cheerios better than the Honey Nut.
Really? Okay. I mean,
yes.
I don't feel like there's any flavor or taste in the multigrain. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying it lacks a little bit of a punch.
It's very subtle. It's a subtle flavor for more distinguished individuals such as myself. Now, Honey Nut Cheerios, fantastic if you have a small bowl. If you overdo the bowl size, I feel like you got a problem with the Honey Nuts, man. The flavors do not work well over time.
Another one that gets real sloppy over time is Raisin Bran. Like those flakes, for whatever reason, you let those things fester in there, it just becomes a moppy mess.
I go through my ebbs and flows with Raisin Bran. I really do.
Did you give your 3rd pick, Buck?
No.
Okay.
Suspense.
My 3rd pick is Oatmeal Squares by Quaker.
I actually really like those.
Of the golden maple variety. They are fantastic. It is hearty, it is healthy, and most importantly, it's about making sure your heart can survive another day. Heart healthy cereals with Buck 101 coming to your Instagram streams in the coming days.
Golden Grahams.
All right.
I love your Golden Grahams pick. That snaked me.
Oatmeal, Sam knows oatmeal squares are
Oatmeal squares are the shit. I will grab a handful of those out of the box.
That's the thing. Oatmeal squares are almost more of a dry cereal that you just kind of like grab and
just
go.
crunch on, and they're just the snack cereal. Like, yeah.
But it's so delicious with the milk. Uh-oh.
Whoopsie.
It's time to go. Sign us off, Tate.
Oh god.
I don't feel like I don't want to. This has been fun. Anyway,
This has been really fun. We'll have to continue this cereal draft another time because this is clutch. Did you write all these down, Levy?
I did.
I wrote them down too. I feel like I've learned a lot about y'all today.
Your missus has been texting me about a cereal we're all missing, so I'm gonna hold on. Yeah, I'm gonna hold on to that pick.
The mouth bleeding Captain Crunch is honorable mention.
Those hurt.
The mouth bleeding.
Yeah. Are those things made of Kevlar?
So good though.
You ever remember that commercial with NFL Blitz where they're like eating like football, like golf tees or something like that, or metal or some shit? That's what it feels like for Captain Crunch. Anyway, all right. So that'll do it for this episode of the Fantasy Focus Podcast. This was a special with Sam Holt as we talked everything for the 2020 NFL Draft, a little broad view, but we're going to be breaking down not only the NFL draft, but all of the free agency moves, and really running back by committee is on the horizon here for the Fantasy Focus Podcast, as we head into the 2020 NFL season. If you have not yet done so, of course, go ahead and subscribe, whether you're digesting our podcast via audio or YouTube or any of the other video platforms. Of course, every episode is brought to you by the Original Hooters, and until next time, later, says the Tater.
Good night, sweet princes and princesses.
See ya.
Bye.